There we go. Can
Hey.
you see me good or is it like really blurry? Is
No,
this
it's good.
chill?
It's good.
Okay, fire. Dude, how's it
Sweet.
going?
Dude, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. It's just Thanksgiving. Everything's closed. I've just been chilling.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of clothes in the back. Let's go.
Yeah, this is like my like work little like studio spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Is that what usually, so I was gonna ask you what you've been doing after the week. It's been 2 weeks since NAKO almost. Is that what you're usually spending your time doing?
Yeah, that's like it went from what Kendama used to be is just like all that time has been into this. But
Yep.
I still like I have Kendamas and stuff set up everywhere. So I'm like I'll like take a break packing orders, land a trick, go back into it. So it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And so I know a little bit about what you do, but it's called, I'd love to, if you could explain exactly what you're putting all your work into nowadays into. It's called
Yeah.
it's called Depop, right?
Yeah, Depop. So it's like a everyone knows eBay. So it's like eBay, but a different platform for it. And I just resell vintage clothing. So like clothes from the early 2000s,
Yeah.
90s, 80s, as old as I can get it. So I went
Yeah.
from doing Soul full time and now I'm doing this full time.
Hmm.
It's fun. I love it.
And is it an app?
It's an app, yeah. You can just
Okay.
download it on your phone or computer and like it, but you can do it from like a website too, but it's easier if you have the app.
Nice. How long have you been doing that?
Almost a year. I'm like, let's see. I think next month will be a year. So that's weird to even think about. Like, it's happens so fast. Like Kendama was every second of my life, and like all of a sudden, it's been a year of just grinding this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, dude, it's really, you know, I noticed a little like slowdown in activity from you a year ago, exactly. So that
yeah,
makes so much sense.
yeah,
But and I think I've heard others say, oh, like, well, they'll see you post a trick, they're like, finally. So obviously other people are noticing too. And it's nice to hear about, what you've been really putting all your effort into. And I think that's really, really cool how you just started. How did you get intrigued how did you get interested in that? Or were you always into
dude.
clothes, into clothes before?
Yeah, well, I was into thrifting. So like I
Okay.
loved thrift stores. Like I would go in if I passed by a thrift store, I had to go in it. So like I was already super into that. And then do you know the brand Round Two? We've done like a few
Yeah,
collabs with them.
for sure.
So like round two, I knew about vintage from them and like we went to their vintage store in LA. And
That's
like
right.
that was before I was into vintage though. So that was like one of the first times I was really seeing it. And then from there, like it opened my eyes to like I would see on their rack old used t-shirt for like $60, $100, and I was like, what the heck? But then like that was for way later, like 2 years later, is when I started like I would find something vintage and it just got it, like excited me. So then
Hmm.
slowly got more and more into it. My girlfriend actually got me into like reselling everything.
Oh, okay, cool. So at
Yeah,
first you were kind of into vintage for yourself, like just for, all right, cool, this is kind of type of clothing that I want to wear. And it wasn't until later where you're like, okay, I can actually do some reselling with this. I can do a little business with this.
yeah, definitely. It's so
Cool.
fun.
Yeah, I remember when you asked me if I knew round two, I immediately remembered that one clip. I don't know the trick, but I know you filmed the clip down at round two store.
Yeah.
That was so cool. How did you guys get that collab, by the way? Is it I've always wondered how Soul got that.
Dude, it's honestly crazy. So Chad, I don't know what year it was. It was years ago. He was in Tokyo, and Chad's good friend TJ Harris. Do you remember TJ?
Yeah. He does real estate
Dude.
now, right?
So yeah. So TJ told I think this is how it goes. If Chad's watching this and I'm butchering this, I'm sorry. TJ told Chad, "Hey, this guy Sean Witherspoon like designs for Nike, Adidas, exclusively Adidas right now, I'm pretty sure, like shoes and stuff. But TJ knew about Sean, and Sean was doing this pop up at a store in Tokyo. So, and he really wanted TJ wanted Chad to go to like I think get him a T-shirt. And then so when Chad went, he met Sean, and then it kind of just started everything from there. So like Chad grew to really like Sean and what Sean post, and then loved round two. So it's like I don't know, it's
Wow.
a whole thing. Like it's blossomed.
Yeah, and it definitely is awesome. Seeing the round two clothing with the Soul Kendamas logo on it and seeing NFL players wear it, and
Yeah.
wear that club with the Soul logo on it. I thought that was amazing. And I've always thought round two is cool. And I only know about round two just because of Soul. That's it. I know round two, it's
Yeah.
pretty big in its own scene, but I just had no idea what it was. But I thought
Dude,
that was a really unique collab.
yeah, same. I think I only know about them from Soul too. So it's
Oh yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, man. That is so cool. That's like a kind of a right place, right time moment for like Chad. It's just so
Dude,
amazing how those things work out.
that's Chad's whole life, dude. Like I feel like every like thing that he gets an opportunity with is just it's because he just travels, he goes places, so he
hmm
meets people, gets connections.
Yeah, puts himself out there, and he's a great guy. So he definitely deserves everything that has happened and all the good stuff for Soul. It's epic to see the growth from literally 2013, from when he had the first flows to now. It's insane.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
hmm Yeah, Alex, I'm really excited to talk to you today about your experience at the North American Kendama Open. And I just want to give people context real quick who are listening. So for those who don't know, if you don't know and you're into Kendama, maybe you've been living under a rock recently. But Alex just got second place in the Freestyle Division at NAKO and and third place in the Pro Open Division at NAKO, which is the highest division. And NAKO is one of the top two biggest Kendama competitions in the United States. And I also want to mention this. Pro Division had a lot of players, 117, and Freestyle had a lot of players. There was 80, there was 89, and we remember the freestyle is pretty long.
Yeah, that was dude. That's actually a lot of competitors. Like now that you say, because I didn't know those numbers before going in it, but
hmm
I felt like I did so many matches.
You played a ton. You played a ton of matches and so many hours just in that room, I'm sure, just waiting to go and all of
Yeah,
that. And you competed against 204 players total, effectively in all divisions. And so you beat 201 players out of the at the
dang,
highest level of the event.
that's
So
crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. I never think about it that way.
Yeah. But there was a lot of people there. I just wanted to let people know the kind of the stakes in this competition, the competition level itself. And I want to there's a lot to talk about with you podiuming both divisions. Not one, but actually just both. And the first thing
Yeah.
I want to touch on, Alex, is something that I think a lot of people are interested in because they've heard a lot about this. But let's get into your competition prep. I think I know the answer to this question, but what do you
Yeah.
usually do? What's the strategy for you to prepare for a competition?
So years ago, like I would say maybe 2 to 3 years ago, I used to I would practice a lot. Like the trick list would come out, I would practice, and like I took it serious. Not that I don't take it serious now, but at some point it transitioned to where slowly I stopped practicing, and now I don't practice. And most of the time, I won't even look at the trick list until I show up, because for me, it's like this psychological trick with myself where if I don't look at the tricks and I just show up, there's no pressure to do good. And I feel like before I would practice so much and I would put so much time and effort into it that once I was at the event, I would be thinking, I put so much time and effort into this. I need to do good. But I think that self-consciously was messing me up. And this could be different for everyone because I know you and Nick practice a lot. So
hmm
like it's different for everyone. But so now I just don't practice. I'll just show up.
But going one more from there, you said you don't even look at the tricks or don't practice until you get there. What's the
Yeah.
practice like day of?
So yeah, day of I'll like usually get with a soul teammate like Liam, Kelvin. Like Liam and Kelvin are my go-tos for practicing like
Yeah.
with. Um and we'll go through the trick list and I do every trick 3 times. Not 3 times in a row, but I'll just go through and land every trick 3 times.
Yep.
And then I'll do that like every couple hours or like every few hours I'll try to do that just to stay like locked in and know the tricks in my head a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you just show up and so you're coming in completely dry on practicing. You hit up Kelvin, who probably has put in some work. I mean, Kelvin's a grinder,
Yeah.
and Liam, I mean, I'm not sure how much he's playing nowadays either, but he's obviously a great player. So are you just
Yeah.
coming in zero practice? Are you just smoking your teammates? Are you competing against them or are you just practicing with them?
No, we usually just practice. Like we never go head to head or anything. So
Oh,
we'll just
okay.
like go through the tricks. And honestly, when I practice though, this is kind of weird, but when I'm practicing, I can't land the tricks the way I land them on stage.
Okay.
Like I see a lot of people they'll practice and they have everything first try. Like they land everything and they're so good at them.
Yeah.
But for me, I almost need the pressure of being on stage to land it as that consistently. Because I feel like if I don't have a pressure to do it, I'm not gonna feel the need to land it every try. If that
Okay, so
makes
you
sense.
have more okay, that's really interesting. So you really thrive. Sounds like there's like more incentive. You're like don't have that much incentive to delay it when you're practicing. When you're on stage, you're like, oh, you feel it. You're like, okay,
No,
let's go.
that's exactly what it is. Like, and when I'm on stage, my nerves go away. Like,
Hmm.
I'll be very nervous before I'm on stage. A lot of times, like, I'll be like a little shaky, and my hands get really cold when I get nervous. But then I get on stage, and it's like the first couple matches, I'll be nervous, but after that, like my hands, no shakes, like nothing. It's honestly weird, but like
Yeah.
I'm thankful for
Wow.
that.
So it sounds like you literally have the opposite training regimen, practice training regimen as most players. Most players are like, okay, I'll put a lot of work in, then of course I'll stay warm the day of, but work's already
Yeah.
done. You're literally, all right, zero work. And then when we get there, I'll just practice and see what happens. And you mentioned, you mentioned, okay, back in the past, you put a lot of time before, but slowly but surely you start putting less and less time until you put zero time in before comp at all. And you mentioned expectations. So do you do you think just having expectations for yourself really messes with you then?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think it messes with a lot of people because you
Hmm.
expect a lot for yourself. So I don't know. There's something there where like if you expect something for yourself, then it's almost like you have to get it or you're gonna be bummed, and it
Yeah.
messes with you, makes you miss tricks or makes you get shakes. So
Hmm. And do you so and you also mentioned okay, um when I see other people practice, they're getting stuff every single try. Does that ever and obviously it's impressive. I mean, I think anybody would say it's impressive, but when you see that, are you thinking anything like, okay, he's looking really good? Or are you just like, dude, it doesn't literally doesn't matter what this guy's hitting. I'm gonna do what I always do. What's your
dude,
mindset when you see other people's
honestly,
grinding like that?
yeah. Honestly, it used to bother me, but now I have learned it does not matter what you can do off stage.
Hmm.
When you're on stage, it's never gonna feel the same. Like it's never gonna be the same. You can land that trick off stage 40 times in a row. But like something that happened, so this is a perfect example of that. Shout out Johnny Cress. I love Johnny. So I was going against him on stage, and the trick that he lost to me to was airplane, five tap airplane. And like he has that trick almost every try. I've watched him land that so many times, but he missed the pull up airplane. So it's like examples like that where you never know. Like as a pro, you expect to land those tricks. Like I expect to land an airplane, but I could have missed that airplane just as easy. And like I don't know. I think there's something to that. Like you could practice so much, but it doesn't matter. Once you get on stage, like you could miss easily.
Hmm. Totally. I mean, the stage is a different beast. It's never gonna feel the same as practice and it shouldn't, because it's literally different. It's
Yeah.
literally a different environment. And I think I think this is so interesting, Alex, because it's just in my opinion, I just think no matter how which way I look at it, I think you're an anomaly. I just think you're an anomaly. You're a standout. I don't think,
Dude, thank you.
and in my opinion, I mean, I don't. The reason why I wouldn't recommend this strategy to people because I just have seen it's just likely not going to work for most people. But to talk to you, to someone who has this strategy, but also, well, actually, before I even go into that, I want to ask you how much kendama now, so since you said a year ago, you started doing Depop, how much Kendama now would you say you play like per week? And I know every week's different, but what would you say like ballpark number hours wise?
Dude, it's honestly crazy. I feel like it would shock a lot of people. If like I mean, dude, there's a lot of days like I'm not even playing. Like
Yep.
there's like I might play out of an entire week, sometimes maybe like 45 minutes to an hour. Like no
Yeah.
joke, because like I have Kendamas on my table. So like most of the time when I'm playing, it is like I see it and I'm like, I just want to mess around for a second and then I
Yep.
put it in. Or like earlier, me and my girlfriend was at a park and I was like, I grabbed the Kendama before we got out and just messed around with it. So it's not, I'm not having like these sessions where I go out anymore or anything. So yeah, I'm not really playing much,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's okay. So playing 45 minutes an hour per week, and obviously like weeks are different. Maybe you're playing more some weeks, maybe you're playing less some weeks, but okay, ballpark number there.
Yeah.
And yet, again, this is just reinforcing my point. You still got third and second in these competitions, and it's funny because it would be like a oh that's so interesting. Like, I'd be way more interested if it was just a one time thing, but this is literally you every single time. So
I
that's
know,
why I
dude.
think it's so interesting, dude, and it's so cool. And I think a lot of people are kind of well, I think more and more players are kind of picking up that oh, I think Alex is playing a little less than he used to this stuff and.
Yeah.
What would you attribute to what would you attribute to your success in these competitions if you're not playing so much right now at this season of your life? Because it is still so impressive, dude. And I said I say I feel
Thank
like
you.
I have to I say this to you every event, but it is actually amazing to watch you on stage. It's even more amazing because I know because I feel like I know that you aren't playing as much. So what would you attribute to this this level of skill that you've been able to perform at time and time again?
Well, dude, thank you, first of all. And I also do want to say, I also do not recommend this to anyone. It doesn't really make sense. But I said this we did a small interview at NAKO. So
Yep.
I told this to Nick. It's, in my opinion, it is 100% from the experience I've had on stage.
Hmm.
So like I said a minute ago, it doesn't matter what you do off stage. When you get on stage, it's a different feeling. Like it is like you're playing completely differently. So even though I'm not playing day to day or practicing, I know how it feels to be on that stage because I've done it so many times. So like I think it's literally all that, just my experience on stage.
Yeah. So it's your experience on stage, and just to give a little more context to that, and this is I don't expect you to get an accurate answer to this question, but how many competitions have you competed in?
Oh gosh. Dude, I can't even give an answer. Like I don't even know.
How
Like
about
if
this?
I'm thinking
Oh yeah.
like maybe like I feel like on average I go to like 4 to 5 a year recently. Like maybe.
Hmm.
So if I'm doing like 4 or 5 a year, then like I mean that's pretty. I feel like that gives a good number of like that many times on stage. Maybe is just enough for me to like keep the feeling I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many years have you been playing?
Almost 11. So
Cool.
like I went to my first competition a year in. So that basically means like 10 years of like 3 to 5 comps a year or more sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Maybe like 50 or so, 60.
okay. Okay. Yeah. And no, that's a lot. Yeah. And how many and what year did you start competing at the pro level? How many years into Kenama were you?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of what the first comp I competed in like pro division. Because I know my first competition was Battle at the Border, one of the early ones,
Hmm.
2014. But I don't think I was in pro at that point. Um, Dude, I really don't remember. Like, I do not remember what my first comp was.
You think it
I
was an
remember
MKO?
that's what I was thinking. So I think, yeah, MKO was probably like there was one year that I did really bad at MKO, and I think that was the year that it was like my first time competing in like pro. I hope I'm not wrong about that, but I think that would have been 2017.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
So probably around 2017 is when I started like pro division at every comp.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So almost 11 years in, and then yeah, 2017 you started competing in pro. I think I remember that too. I think first MK I remember seeing you out was 2017. You guys had the gray jerseys, right, for Seoul? So
Yeah,
I think the
yeah.
gray long sleeves. Yeah. off the top of my
It's
head.
crazy you remember that.
I remember the photo on Instagram you guys posted actually. I don't know. Sometimes I can just draw things. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
If not that one, maybe something in like 2016. I'm
Yeah.
really not sure.
Yeah. Okay, but kind of okay, yeah, 2017, maybe late 2016, but okay.
Yeah,
So you've been competing at the pro level for nearly 8 years now, or yeah, 7 years now. 7 years now. And
it's
okay.
so weird
And
to think about.
right? It just goes by so fast.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. So
Dang.
that's amazing. And in the early times of Kendama, well, and actually even up until a little over a year ago, it sounds like you said already every second of your life was Kendama. I want to kind of get into the details of how much you were actually playing coming up into being on Soul. How many? I mean, you say you play 45 minutes to an hour a week now. Can you give us a little insight into how many hours you're playing back in the day?
Dude, yeah. The first like few years, like multiple years of when I started playing Kendama, I think minimum I was playing like 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And
Yeah.
like I remember there being days where it would be like probably like 6, 7 hours of just because I had me and like all of my cousins, my brothers. So that's all for us. We played video games a little bit, but for us, Kendama became like our video game. So we were always outside playing. So
Yeah.
yeah, probably like minimum 4 hours every day. And then it got like a little lower over the years, but I feel like that's what gave me a lot of the experience I've had with tricks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard from somebody that you used to play obviously just a ton back a few years ago and everything. And I'm sure when you moved in with Chad after when you went full-time solo, I'm sure you were playing a good amount too.
Yeah, we
So
were.
yeah. So and I just want to also get that context along with what you're saying because although I've actually thought about this a lot, I mean, the topic of people bring up you as an example a lot in competition, and to kind of because it kind of goes against what Nick and I generally recommend for people if they want to do well. And
Yeah,
I've thought about this a lot, and I honestly think that is such an important mention because although you aren't playing as much as you used to, or as much as maybe people think you do now, it's you know like the truth is you put in a ton of work. You put in more work than 90 in that concentrated amount of time in those years in the beginning, and of course, well, up until maybe a year or two ago as well,
yeah,
that very few players are going to match. Like the hours you put in are so like monstrous. It's just it makes when I can think about it like that, it gives me a little more. It makes this whole thing make a little more sense. Is that you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's something Chad brings that up too. Like he thinks that a lot of the skill I have today is from those like 3 hours every day for years. So like I think that makes sense too.
hmm Yeah, you definitely have one of the biggest foundations, and not only going off what you just said, but literally just going off your performance. I mean, the fact that you can do this well off so little play now in your day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's super. I think that's a huge contribution to it, and it's so cool to see what you're
Thank
capable of still.
it.
So
It honestly like blows my mind too because I'm since Kendama's always been a part of my life, it's honestly weird to not be playing this much. Not
yeah.
in a bad way. I think it's very healthy for me right now.
hmm
But like it is strange to not be playing Kendama. And then I keep going to these competitions and I'm like I'll get there and I'll tell everyone I'm like, I haven't practiced. Like I really don't know if I'm gonna do good. And then I win. And then I'm like, okay, I don't know. Like I don't know what happened. And then it goes to the next comp, and it's the same thing where I'm like, no, I actually have not played Kendama in forever. And then I win again, and I'm like, I don't know. It keeps happening. Like it happened with battle this year. Like I don't know. It's really weird, but
Dude, if I'm your teammate, I'm gonna say, yo, Alex, actually shut up. You come into the next event, hey Alex, you're like, yo, I haven't played since the last event. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, you're literally gonna win again. Like,
dude, it does make me think though. It's like if I'm still able to win, sometimes I wonder if I'm like wasting this ability that I have and this like skill. like I don't want to force myself to play kendama. I want to play
Mhm.
kendama when I want to, but it also makes me think like, what if I really got back into it and started like playing like I used to? What would happen?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just something I think about sometimes.
Does that thought sometimes bother you? Is that kind of a bothersome thought?
No, I think I'm pretty content with where I'm at with kendama. Like
Hmm.
it's like I know it'll always be in my life, but I just know I'm not at the point anymore where I'm really like progressing. Like I feel like I'm not progressing anymore. I'm just where I'm at. But
Yeah,
I know if I picked it back up, I could progress. I know I could, but I,
of
I want
course.
I want to want that instead of making myself do it
Yeah.
because that's where I've learned that like when I make myself play kendama and film, I start to not enjoy it like I used to.
Yeah. 100%. And it seems like you're in a season of your life where you're putting so much focus, so much effort into, you talked about at the start of this conversation, Depop. And
Yeah.
I think I totally, and even though you're not playing at the frequency that you were previously in your life, it doesn't mean that you're not going to return to it someday. You could play more, I mean, it just,
Yeah.
and I'm with you on that. You don't want to, I wouldn't want to force myself to play either, like just for the pure enjoyment of it. And I know you probably obviously still enjoy Kendama, but it seems like you're in a season of your life where the priorities are shifted a bit, and that's just how it
Yeah.
is right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, what really started it is so I had the opportunity to work for Soul full
Mm.
time, and I did that for about 3 years, and that was my dream, like since I was like 12 or 13, and Chad made it happen. Like Chad and Shelton, they both talked to me, like he gave me that whole opportunity, and that was amazing. I would never take it back. But that from that, I've learned like because that was my job, like to have money to pay for bills, to do everything, I had to play kendama. So
Hmm.
it just like transitioned to where I would play when I wanted to versus then I had to play.
Yep.
So that's what originally started it. But and I'm so thankful for that. I would never take that back. But
Hmm.
since I've stopped working for Soul, like I'm still obviously I'll forever be a part of Soul, but I'm not like on a payroll or anything. I've noticed I feel like I want to play more kendama, way like a lot more than I used to. Like I want to go out and film a trick soon, or I don't know. I just feel like I haven't filmed in forever, but I've had the feeling of wanting to since I stopped the working for Soul,
Yeah.
which excites me honestly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I'm happy you brought that up because yeah, I don't know if many players now know that you did that, who are just getting in the past year and a half, that you actually worked full time for Soul, and that it
Yeah,
wasn't just you're playing a lot of Kendama. It was you're playing a lot of Kendama mixed in with it's your literal job. Like as you said, you have to get some
yeah,
content done, the stuff. I know you did huge contribution to the Soul YouTube, like mass. That's
yeah,
one big thing I know. When you got their YouTube subs way, way, way up, which is massive.
yeah.
Um,
That was crazy.
yeah, dude.
Like
You definitely started
literally,
that.
yeah, posting YouTube shorts every single day, dude. Like, but it was worth it because, like, dude, like this is so sick to have.
Oh,
The YouTube plaque, like, it's
yep.
crazy. That came from Kendama and from working for Soul. Like, I would not have that without that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is so epic. That wow, that is awesome. And it's literally in your room. That's sick.
yeah, dude, it has to be. It's so
Of
cool.
course. Yeah, one of the questions we got actually to ask you was along the lines of what we were talking about of they were really wondering of, man, Alex, does it how does it is he not motivated to play even though he's so good? I mean, it's I think it's just I think people will really appreciate the insight you gave just now because I think a lot of this guy was just expressing something that I've heard a lot of players say, just why is it's so interesting how Alex is not seemingly not as into Kendama as he used to, but he's still so good. It's just not making sense in my brain. Like that's what I hear a lot of other people say. So um I'm happy that we just talked about that. And I mean,
Same.
mhm,
Yeah, I am too. Because I know a lot of I don't want people to think that I'm quitting Kendama. Like I think a lot of people see me not post anything and they
yeah.
think I'm not into Kendama anymore or quitting. I'm definitely not. Like I'll always love Kendama,
Yeah.
but it's just slowed down a lot. And hopefully,
Mhm.
who knows? Like hopefully, I'll get the inspiration to go out and film some more soon. Because it's
Yeah.
always cool. Like every time I post, the amount of support that I get from it is just it blows my mind. Like it makes me want to go out and film more.
I mean, dude, the last trick you posted, I literally was like, oh, Alex still has it like that? Okay. Alex has it like that.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that's how it
Thank
is. That's how it is. Like I should be even supposed to be surprised by that, obviously. But it's awesome, dude. And I mean, I think I speak for everybody when for the economic community when I say, yeah, whenever you want to post, I mean, we're always
you.
gonna be super stoked to see it because it's it's awesome. And I guess you're giving people a chance to catch up now that you're not progressing. You're kind of just maintaining, and your level now,
Yeah.
your maintaining level is still high enough to compete with the best of the best, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
It's also been weird since I can feel that I'm not really progressing any because I can see this like new tech
Yeah.
in people's videos and stuff, and I'm like, dang, it's weird to see that and not try to learn it. Like not try to learn all the new stuff. And I know if I keep that up, like one day I'll be the player that like doesn't know the tech and they're gonna be in like a trick list in open division and I'm not gonna know how to do it. So I need to like keep on it and learn those tricks, those new concepts and stuff.
Yeah, well, knowing you, you'd probably just learn it and hit it on stage or learn it day of or something. But yeah, well, I guess we'll only know when that happens. So
Hopefully.
you I want to go a little more focused in on your competition mindset. We touched on it a bit, but you played a total of 6 matches in Open, and you knocked everyone down before round of 16, 3-0. But your first super close match was against Schultz in the top 16, where you won 3-2. So when it's close like that, 2-2, it's neck and neck. What's your mindset to stay in and just fully finish the job?
Dude, that's a good question. It's usually like when we were going against each other, we matched up 2-2. And what I think about when I'm on stage is like I know how bad I want that win. Like I'm like
Yeah.
I remember specifically when I was going against him, I was thinking like I want to win this so bad. But as soon as I missed there was a goon pinch swap spike, that was the trick I missed.
Hmm.
We both started missing. And I just thought like I know I didn't put work into this, and I know he did. So in my head, I was like, if he beats me, it is okay. Like that's honestly what was going through my head, just like coming to terms with I know I didn't put in the work and he did. So like if he gets this, then it is okay. But as soon as he missed, I was like, okay, I have to land this. Like I'm not taking this chance and just missing.
Yeah.
So that's usually how it goes. It's like I try to just be content with what's happening instead of like beating myself up or getting upset over it.
Hmm. Okay, so it sounds like you're very much in the moment, and whether you miss, even if you take a miss on a point, you kind of just look forward and you don't focus on that at all.
Yeah, I try. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and are you constantly repeating this to yourself on stage? Are you saying in your mind like, okay, well, that doesn't matter, or are you saying like, all right, I have to get this I need to capitalize on here, or do you have that inner monologue?
It's not something I'm constantly thinking about, but
Hmm.
in the moment that I miss is when I'm like okay, like you miss. If they miss, you're gonna get it. Like you have to get it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's usually just like based on what's happening, I'll think about that or like reinforce it in my head.
Right. Right. And
But otherwise, I just try not to really think too much. I just try to like stay calm and breathe.
yeah. Was there ever a point where you used to have nerves? Now you said you have nerves before, but you don't have any nerves on stage. Has that always been the case, or was it different when you started competing?
It was a lot different when I started. It was dude, funny enough, if Kevin watches this, he's gonna love hearing this. But at NAKO or MKO, I think 2018, the year that I got second against I think that was 2018.
Yep.
Um, I was on stage. That was my first competition that I podiumed at and like actually did pretty good in. And I remember on stage, like I was shaking the whole time. Like I was so shaky, so nervous. And I remember in the finals, the whole Soul team is behind me. And I would just look down, and every time I looked down, Kevin would just remind me. He'd be like, "Breathe." Like he would just tell me every time because I would pull a trick, and it's like as soon as I pull it, I would just go for it. And so he kept telling me, dude, like breathe, take a breath. And whenever I did that, it calmed me down, and like I didn't really get nerves anymore. So like that originally helped, but then I think over the years, just being on stage, it's not something I have to remind myself of. Now
Hmm.
it's almost like muscle memory.
Yeah. Just the experience. The experience
Yeah,
you think is, I mean, like you already alluded to previously, is just huge when it comes to being comfortable and managing nerves.
yeah. So I definitely did not always have it like that. Like I used to be super nervous.
Yeah. Well, I wish you were a little more nervous against when I played you that year because you knocked me and Nick out back to back, and my match against you was literally probably
Dude,
the quickest match I ever played. I was like, oh, okay, I lost. It's been about a
bro,
minute and a
I
half.
remember I remember that. That was a crazy moment for me because I was used to losing so many, like every person I went against at that time, it felt like I lost because I had no experience. So I remember, yeah, beating both of you was like it literally didn't feel real. It was like, what the heck? Like I don't know, it didn't seem right.
Dude, you destroyed. You were insane that event. That's so crazy that too, because earlier you said, yeah, 2017, my first, time in pro, lost so bad, but then 1 year later you get second, which is just amazing,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's so
Something
cool.
switch. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. What was your mindset going into the third place match? Because you told me at the event, you're like, dude, this is my first third place. I never get third place. I'm like, yeah, this is the dude who only gets
Yeah.
finals first or second. So what's your mindset going into third?
Dude, honestly, so I was like I was weirdly like bummed because third place is just weird. It's like you're so close to the finals, and if
Yeah.
you're close to the finals, you're so close to winning. So I was already like bummed, but I didn't let that get to me. I was like, okay, I have the chance to podium and win, like at least play something, win money, win prizes.
Hmm.
So I like made the most out of it. I just thought like I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. At the very least, I'm gonna get third and just do my best.
Yeah. Yeah, so a little bittersweet, it sounds like at the beginning, like after you're losing, because I mean I can definitely relate, I mean losing that
Yeah.
semifinals match and playing for third, I can definitely relate to that. So I totally understand where you're coming from, but it's cool to know that you were like, this kind of sucks, but then immediately went for, okay, I'm locking in. I'm definitely gonna get something out of this comp, and you
Yeah.
took home the dub in that. So was that match against? So did that feel like a regular match, a regular match for third place for Johnny when you knew that if you lost, you definitely wouldn't get as much?
I don't remember it feeling any different
Hmm.
because like I said, once I'm on stage, like there's no nerves. Like it's like I'm in the zone. I'm not even it's almost like I'm not even conscious about what's going on. It's like
Yeah.
I get in this flow state of just being in the moment. That's the only way I know to describe it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like the crowd doesn't affect me or anything. It's just I have to win this to get third.
Hmm. No, that makes sense. Yeah. You and Johnny had a really cool match. You guys definitely had a highlight moment for me in the comp where you guys both got the cloud bounce 2 times in a row and
Yeah.
then missed the last one. You went like single flip, double flip, and then you threw up that quad flip at the end. And I said, if he lands this, it's literally scripted. Something's wrong. I don't know with this
Dude,
dude.
yeah. Yeah, I was praying when I was flipping through the air.
That was a
Didn't
really
happen.
cool match. And then you and Ryoga obviously had a really close match too, 3-2. But
Yeah, dude.
overall, coming in with that third place, congrats again. I mean,
Thank you.
that is absolutely huge.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I was like, it was bittersweet, but then freestyle definitely made up for it. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, at that point, I was like, okay, I have to win freestyle. Like, I have to. And I didn't, but it's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. Dude, you had nail biters in the freestyle. Nail
Thank
biters.
you.
It
Thank you,
was
bro.
so close. In my opinion, you had the closest matches of the day. I'm talking super close matches back to back. So you went, dude, I was front row in your first match against Brent Duffy, 2-1 win for you. I don't know how
Yeah.
judges judge that. I literally watched that and I watched you have both your guys' rounds and I said to myself, what what do people look for in this? Because we just have one person,
Yeah.
Alex, who missed a little more than Brent, but landed technically difficult tricks as usual.
Yeah.
But then you have Brent who's doing this style that honestly the very, very big minority of canal players can relate to. He's doing pinches, goons. He's very
Yeah.
consistent. He actually basically didn't miss. I think he missed twice total in both of
Dude,
his
it was
rounds.
crazy. It was
I honestly
intimidating.
thought I said okay, I don't know how to judge this, and if either of them win, I wouldn't be surprised. So you had that match, and then you had 3-0, and then you won 3-0 against Austin Donovan, but that was also around that was the best freestyle I've ever seen Austin do. So that wasn't like a I don't
Oh,
think that was
dang.
an easy win, but he because he did really, really good. But then you went 2-1 against ET, and then you had a 2-1 against Ryoga, and then Miguel. There's a lot to unpack there because you had two
Yeah, dude.
insanely close matches, but look at that lineup. Look at that
Yeah.
lineup. I mean, that's insane. How would, can you give me an overview of how freestyle felt for you this year? I mean, you got second, but how did all these matches going through them many hours throughout the both comp days feel?
It was it was like a lot. It was all over the place because everyone I went against, it I had to treat most matches like a finals match. And like even like the Brent match, like yeah, he was landing some of the craziest tricks, but something I kept in my mind every match was variety. Like I think if you have variety, you have way more of a chance to win. So like every single match, I pretty much thought of that because I watch players and I see like a lot of players will repeat tricks a lot because it's comfortable. Like if you do that, it's comfortable and you're not taking risk. But I think the more matches I go into, especially going against like, I mean, yeah, all of those matches were crazy. I can't even pick one. Every single one, I had to think like I have to have the most variety or I won't win because they're all so good.
Yeah. Okay, so big mindset going into freestyle matches is just always variety. And so you did mention that you have to treat you have to treat every match like a finals match. What is that? Does that mean variety or does that mean anything more? Your mentality, the tricks you're doing, the mentality you bring to it.
I think it does mean more. So the first match I treated like I think kind of like the finals was probably the Austin Donovan match because I knew he was gonna do variety like weird tech tricks, like similar tricks that I like.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of have the mindset of like I need to pull out tricks that I would usually save for the finals to make sure that I win this. So that's what I did for that one. And then later it got to the point where it was more than that because I would have to treat like the Ryoga match. Like in
Yeah.
my head, that was the finals. Like that literally in my head, like I'm like, this is the finals. I have to pull out everything I have. And then I won. So then you're like, you're in this weird place where you're like, well, what do I do in the next one? So then I go against the next one, and I think that was ET. I think after that
I
one.
think it was Miguel after that.
Maybe,
Maybe.
yeah, you probably have a better memory about that than I do. But yeah, so I went against him, and then it's like I had to treat that also like the finals. So that when I was like, this is the real finals. And then I go against ET, and I'm like, this is the actual finals. It got to, every match was like that. So like by the time I got to the finals, I had nothing left, dude. I was like, I've treated every match like the finals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you had crazy matches. Your lineup for the bracket was absolutely insane. Playing those caliber of players back to back is massive. That was definitely the best competition I've ever seen in any top 16 of any freestyle ever at an event. That was an
Dang,
amazing competition to watch for me. For
that's
ET's match, it's very, that a huge elephant in the room is just how controversial that was. How much of
yeah.
a surprise call that the atmosphere in the room was definitely surprise once the call was made. What are your thoughts about the results of that match and just the overall, yeah, the judge's decision?
I thought he for sure won. Like on stage, like we both ended our rounds and I gave him a hug and I was like, dude, you won. Like I think I even said congrats because I was that sure.
Hmm.
And I was like bummed, but I was trying to get through it. And then yeah, the flags go up and I won and I was like shocked. I go off stage, everyone is shocked, everyone's freaking out. But something I think it was someone told me this. They were like, I don't think it's as crazy as people are saying because you had so much variety. Like he landed everything. So therefore, in my opinion, he should have won. But I barely landed anything, but the things I landed were super good and like all over the place. So that's the
Hmm.
only thing I can think of why I won. But I do think he deserved that win.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
I
if I had to think of a reason why I won, that would probably be it. Just the variety.
hmm I mean, you're definitely known for doing tech tricks, and your consistency with tech tricks in comp is something particularly notable. So, I mean, that you're always so clutch, dude. You literally always land something in the last second, which is by far the best time to land anything, to leave that lasting impression on the judges, to make them
Yeah.
remember. It's always the best, and you always do it. I mean, I remember watching your second round, dude,
Thank-
and I remember watching, and I was like, wow. I think if everyone has a good second round, he's definitely going to win this because Alex isn't landing anything. He hasn't. I think he's landed one thing in the second round, and he's 5 seconds left. You pull up
Yeah.
Lunar, you do the tray, you do the fingernail spin,
Yeah.
tray back to Lunar, and I'm like, no way that day. I just like, and it's three, two, landed one spike, and I was like,
Yeah.
no way that just happened.
That
No way.
saved me, dude. Like that. I mean, honestly, we were asking like, or I said variety. Screw variety. That's pretty much the reason I won. Just that trick. Like without that, there's no way I would have won that. Like I think that just got in the judges' heads of like they were
Yeah,
just like, whoa, and then chose me.
yeah. Have you ever been on the opposite end of that where? You feel, well, let's just say the general consensus, the vibe in the room is that, okay, yeah, Alex won that. And have you ever had a call where the fives go up and you're like, oh, I actually lost. Has that ever happened to you?
I think so. Like nothing is coming to mind, so maybe not. But
Hmm.
I've been at so many freestyles, and I don't know if I'm like confusing seeing it happen so many times
Yeah.
with or like if I've actually experienced it. So I'm
Hmm.
not sure. Like I don't want to say I have, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you what did you think about the match against Ryoga? I think that was a different type of match. You guys both did insane. You guys
Dude.
both did insane. You did a lot better than in the match you did against Edwin. You landed crazy tricks. He landed insane tricks. I I definitely that was I watched the matches back, and I think that was the one where that was the most difficult match to judge. I mean, I'll what are your thoughts on that match? Did you have more confidence coming out of that one?
Honestly, no. Like when we finished our matches, I in my head, I had no idea who won
Hmm.
because I was seeing him land these like, dude, he lands tricks that you shouldn't be able to just land like in like first try or second try or even in 5 minutes, but he does it. And so yeah, that one I had no idea, but I knew I popped off. Like I didn't remember anything I landed, but when I walked off, I was like, okay, I know I landed a lot of good stuff. But then he would also match that, and he even like copied a trick, I think. So yeah, that was like I was just praying that I won.
That was definitely a close one. That was 2-1. I've never seen a player get so many close matches in one comp. The 2-1s that you had, it
Dude,
was
yeah,
as I said, nail biters. I didn't know even in the Ryoga match too. In the Ryoga match, I gotta say, I was watching and in the moment I thought, okay, hey, both did super well. I thought you won, and I had my gut feeling said, okay, Alex
oh,
won. I think because of what you said, what you already alluded to in this podcast variety. I thought, okay, I
yeah,
think Alex had the tech on that one, and he was consistent, so I think he might edge this one out. But it's so, man, it's so tough to be. Every time I talk about this stuff, and I just think about how hard it is to be a judge, like being in the moment judging.
yeah.
It's got to be the. Have you ever judged a freestyle comp?
No, I haven't. I wouldn't want to though, because yeah, it seems like for me, I feel like in my head it would be semi easy to watch a match and be like they clearly won. But yeah, if it was a match like me and Ryoga, I wouldn't want to judge that
Yeah,
because like it's so close that I don't know. I don't want to make anyone upset either.
yeah.
So I don't know.
It's all
Have you?
fun and games until it's a close match.
Yeah. Have you ever judged?
Uh, I mean, yeah, but that was a long time ago in Romania. That was a long
Oh
time
yeah.
ago, and it honestly was. It was tough because it would be so he'd be like, yeah, I'd be like, all right, cool. This I know who's gonna win before they know. I can't wait to see this kid's face. And it's all fun and games until they actually have a close match, and you're like, oh, okay, well now I actually have to make a real decision here, or I have to actually
Yeah.
think about it. My one memory was me. It was me, Nick, and Christian Fraser, and we are judging this competition in Romania. And Christian looks at Nick and I, and he's like, "I think we all know who won that." And Nick and I were like, "Yeah, definitely." And then it was like 3, 2, 1, and Nick and I raised one for one player, and then he goes the other.
Oh my
Then the other
God,
person wins. And I'm pretty sure
dude.
that was for the final too, or like at least third place. So I thought that was
No
so
way.
funny when he was like, "Yeah, I think we know one." That I'm like, "Yeah, definitely, yeah,
Yeah, that feels like the classic. Like I don't. Yeah, that has to happen a lot as judges.
yeah, yeah." Like I wonder how many times this past comp the judges look at each other and are like, "What?" But hey, I don't know, but I'm sure it happens more often than not in competition, at least once.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you so obviously Nouns pulled through with the prize with the donations this year to, major contributor to
Yeah.
the event as a whole, co-hosted the event basically. I'm pretty sure they donated, I heard over $30,000. I mean at least 20, but I know they did more
Yeah.
than 20. So and I know you got money from getting second and third. So I know on the stage up there, you were very, very grateful for the cash. What are you gonna? Is there anything you have your eyes set on that in your life? You're like, okay, now I'm gonna grab this now because I have this influx of money.
Yeah. I've been saving for a car for like, or I have a car, but it's just, dude, like there's like constant issues with it. It's a 2008 Honda Civic, and it is like well over 200,000 miles. It is just, it's a rough car. Like
Hmm.
cracked window, like so many issues with it. So I've been saving for a car for about a year. Like since I started Depop, like for the first like 8 months of doing Depop, I didn't touch a dollar of it. I was just like saving. So
Hmm.
that's all going towards a car. So I don't know when I'm gonna be able to actually like buy the car, but it should be. I'm aiming for like February.
Yeah.
That's
Nice,
like my
dude.
goal. So that
That's
helped a
huge.
yeah, like that helped out so much.
That's absolutely huge. Yeah, that's awesome. I think I heard you mention that in your speech afterwards. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
What, getting second and third, is there any, and I know you say you usually don't, it's kind of a thing where you don't play usually after an event. You come to events and you're like, I haven't played in so long, but you do tend to still do well, if not win, get, a podium spot. Is there any type of motivation or any feeling in yourself that you're like, okay, well, maybe next time I'll actually put in the work because if I got this close but not, imagine what would happen if I did. Do you ever think about that to yourself? Is that like a dilemma in your head?
Honestly, no. Which is not sad, but like I don't want to use the word sad, but it's just weird that it's not because I know how much it means to so many Kenama players. Like I know so many players would dream of that, just not practicing, showing up and being able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said, like maybe in the future something will come back where I'm like, I want to grind or go film or practice. But for now, yeah, I'm just so content with where I'm at. And if I'm still like podiuming, winning by not playing as much, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Totally. No, totally, man. I totally get that. And overall, from a takeaway from the event, I mean, Soul Team is very, very close. You did super well in competition. Did you have a main standout moment for you from the weekend that you can touch on?
A standout moment. Um, Not really like anything in particular. Maybe the only thing is like I guess just beating Ryoga in the freestyle.
Hmm.
Like that was like I know it feels like he is levels above me. Like it feels like in the early days of Kendama when I would watch you, Nick, Stud, Fish, like all like I feel like that is the way I felt about you guys is how I feel about him now. Where like I
Hmm.
watch him play and it feels like he is levels above me. But it felt good to beat him, which I know is probably a very rare occurrence that's gonna happen, but so that was probably like a standout moment where I was like just proud of that. Like, okay, I can still compete against
Yeah.
the best, like one of the best in the world.
Yeah. I mean, you literally beat the Kenama World Champion at freestyle. That's
Yeah.
that's huge. So, okay, cool. That was a massive dub, and yeah, that took you into the semifinals match. I mean, that was a big dub. That was a big win. I mean,
Thank you.
winner of that match could have very well won the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah,
that's really what it was. Yeah.
definitely.
What, you know, what are one question that we had from a player when I put up that post last night was, did you ever have a time in Kendama where Kendama didn't feel fun, but you played through that anyway and continued to progress. And I know you touched on that when you worked for Soul, but was that ever at a point when you were just not playing your at your in your house, just playing for fun, like before the days of working full time for Soul?
Wait, so you're saying before working for Soul, like, did I ever
Yeah.
feel?
Did you ever push through a point in time where your Kendama didn't feel as fun for you, it didn't feel as enjoyable, but you played through anyways and continued to progress and just has fought through that I guess the
Yeah.
burnout or whatever people would like to refer to that stage as.
Honestly, no. I don't think I had ever had that feeling of. I mean, there was times I would like go film and I wouldn't land anything, but that was way different feeling than the like burnt out, just overwhelmed feeling. So
Hmm.
yeah, like I think it's just for me a hobby and like meant to be a hobby and something I do on my own time.
Yeah. Yeah. It just honestly sounds like you just you generally enjoyed Kendama so much and that's what really kept you in
Dude,
back in
yeah.
your early years of playing and all the way up till maybe just semi recently, a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like this. It sounds like you just had a genuine enjoyment. And that I thought that question was unique because I don't know a ton of people who literally force themselves through a stage like that in order to continue to play. But it's usually because, yeah, the enjoyment's there. And obviously, from what you said, how many hours you put in, you definitely had a high level of enjoyment and
Yeah.
prioritization. Again, that's another big factor too, prioritization to it. So
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
awesome to hear too.
that's just like Kendama was the only thing I was literally ever good at. So like
Mm,
like it felt good to be good at something. Like so like it was easy for me to just keep playing it and enjoy it because I was never good at like video games, sports, school. I wasn't good at like literally anything. Not to sound sad or something, but then I found Kendama and it was like the only thing where I was like, okay, I'm good at this and people also think I'm good. Like it feels cool.
hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude. I mean, people usually tend to enjoy things that they're better at for sure. And that is so cool how you found Kendama and you literally just I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you could tell yourself, your younger self, all the stuff that you've achieved up until now, I mean, what would that reaction be? I mean, I don't even know what do you think that would be like?
I don't think I would have believed it.
Yeah.
Like literally. Not that I had like a bad mindset or anything, but I just like I remember the feeling of just seeing pros at events and like being terrified to talk to them and like I never would have thought like I would be one of those players. Like like for example, Colton, Kunama Colton.
Hmm.
Like I hope he watches this because I wanted to shout him out because I talked to him a little bit and I had it was talking to him reminded me so much of me where like I could tell he was very like a little nervous to talk to me and stuff because I'm sure he's like watched my videos and looks up to me. But that's
Hmm.
literally how I used to feel, and I never imagined I'd be on the flip side of that. So it's like I don't know. I love seeing players like that because literally that is who I was,
Yeah. Kind of a full circle moment there.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I think he'll definitely be watching this, so that's cool. I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
be stoked to hear that. And
Hope so.
in terms of progression, a lot of players nowadays, they don't, especially ones that are in the first 3 years, they have trouble deciding what to go for next, how they should go about progressing. What trick should I do? What trick should not do? What's the form, and it
Yeah.
can be a lot of, there's not a lot of resource to go off of, but obviously, you've been playing for almost 11 years. You're at the scale that you are now. What, what main, I want to say philosophies, but what main areas of focus do you have for progression? What did you focus on as a player? What was a big thing for your play? For example, consistency, or maybe just focusing on filming a lot, something like this. What helped you a lot in terms of progression into the pro level and beyond?
I think I think for me, focusing on tech tricks, like any technical trick that you have to like tech tricks are so different because like if you choose a trick that is like very simple or like very easy to understand, like a 1, 2, 3 trick or so, like anything like that. It's very easy to comprehend. But for me, I wanted to do tricks that are just different. So I
Hmm.
started focusing on technical tricks. And I feel like, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like if you get good at weird technical tricks where so much is happening in such a short amount of time, where you have to like land something or grab the spike or do something in this small window of time, then you're going to weirdly get consistent at other tricks, or like you'll find a consistency in tricks that you wouldn't have if you didn't learn those weird like tech tricks. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe like the technicality of certain tricks forced me to understand like certain tricks to be consistent.
Yeah.
I don't
No, that definitely answers my question. So your main area of focus was just more technical, not maybe not like one, two, three stuff. I mean, I've seen you do one, two, three stuff for sure, but
yeah.
maybe the more unique stuff, kind of maybe in your early days, maybe more dumbed down stuff like style tricks that you would do in oh my God, I'm blanking on the name. I cannot believe I blank on the name of this edit. What is the tech
No,
trick?
yeah, branching out.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I don't, dude. I don't care at all. Like there, I
I'm sorry.
promise. Dude,
Yeah.
there's so many like Kendama edits out there. Like I don't expect you to remember mine, like one of mine. I've
No,
made.
but that was obviously a super, super tech edit. So it's kind of just focusing on tricks like that. And that's always been a theme in your play style. I mean, yeah, back in I knew you for border balance, dude, before I even knew
Yeah.
maybe what your name was. I saw a clip and I was like, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but his border balances are insane. So yeah. So even by
Yeah.
back then, you were focusing on that.
Yeah, so that's always yeah, I guess I mean obviously everyone's got to learn the basics and get comfortable with like tricks. So I guess what I'm talking about is more like years into Kendama.
Hmm.
That's just what interests me the most because it's different. You don't see anyone doing, or there's like multiple players now that are like just try to hit those weird tricks where so much is happening in like the smallest amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that, dude. I love that. That's not an answer that I've gotten from most players that I've asked that to. So that's absolutely huge. That's huge. Like so basically people listening to diversify, do the stuff outside of the norm, push for being different and doing something unique. Yeah, that's
Yeah, you have to. You can't stay comfortable because if you stay comfortable, there's no way you're gonna grow or learn anything. Like
hmm
that was when I made branching out. That was literally the whole purpose of that video was branching out. Like I was
yeah.
like, okay, I want to think of tricks that are like I really have to think outside of the box and like brainstorm weird tricks to land. So
hmm
like I recommend anyone do that because I feel like you'll learn tricks or like progress in a different way than if you just tried to be like consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. Okay, awesome. And
Yeah.
what this is a question from someone in the school. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you would deem as a mistake that you see newer or I guess experienced players make?
Maybe not learning the all the like fundamentals and basics of Kinama before learning the crazy tricks.
Hmm.
Because when we started playing Kinama, like whirlwinds and like juggles to spike were like pretty crazy. So like we had to learn all the basics, and then that was for us was like some of the crazier tricks. But now, if someone's starting playing Kendama, they're seeing the craziest tricks ever been landed.
Yeah.
So it might be like more reasonable for them to think like, oh, I want to learn juggle, but then they might not have like J sticks consistently, or like they might want to try to learn like three tap before having like juggle spike down, or like I don't know. So I think people try to learn stuff too early. When if you learn the basics and the fundamentals of just all the tricks, then you would learn the harder stuff quicker.
Hmm. And it's hard for people to I think it might be I think maybe people don't do that as much because one, I mean, yeah, like you already said, people are seeing the craziest stuff of all time now. I mean, when I
Yeah.
started, the hardest trick that I could conceptualize was spacewalk handle to base cup. I literally thought that was the hardest
Dude.
trick in Konami. Actually.
Yeah. Like, but there's also something to that where there's a perspective that I don't even understand, that there's players that are learning these tricks that are
Hmm.
harder and they're learning it before other tricks. That's probably why there's players like Ryoga,
Yeah.
because they're skipping the like trying to all learn all those basics and consistency, and then they're getting so good so fast that they don't need to learn the basics or anything. I don't know if that's how that works, but I feel like there's something about them starting Kendama, seeing the craziest tricks ever landed, gives them this advantage to become way better than us because we've kind of paved the way for those tricks,
Hmm.
but for them, that's them starting. So like they're gonna want to do way crazier stuff.
Yeah, like when they start, they already see like yes, totally. I mean, on one hand, it's insane to see when you come to Kendama. Okay, yeah, six border bounce flip, 100 taps, five
Yeah.
million turntable, something like this. But immediately, new players see it and they're like, "Oh, that's possible. That's actually
Yeah.
possible. What can I do to get there?" Whereas, yeah, I mean, for
Dude,
us,
we
it was
used
literally
to,
paving the way. I mean, we were literally thinking of new.
yeah.
We could only it was only to the bounds of what we could think of, and well, we were seeing other people think of, and the level just rises and rises. And I think people who are starting out just think further and further ahead.
Dude, yeah, I'm not even joking when I say this. Me and my cousins used to joke about landing like 10 or 20, like we would say 20 tap almost wasn't even something we would joke about. It was like 10 tap. We
Yeah,
would talk about 10 tap in a way that to us, it what actually wasn't possible. Like to us, that literally wasn't a trick that could be landed. So we would joke about it. And then it got to the point where when someone landed 10, we were like, dude, imagine like 20 or something like
yeah,
that. But to us, we literally like that was not possible. So
yeah.
like for people like Ryoga to come in the game, and I mean there's kids in Japan that are starting seeing Ryoga. So like, dude, what are they gonna be doing
That's
in 10
right.
years? Like it's unreal.
100%. Yeah, I have a really similar. That's so funny that story with you and your cousin. Oh, your cousin was probably like the best person I've ever seen at Thumb Slingers, dude. He was insane at that trick.
Oh, dude.
Oh, that was actually I remember just him solely for that trick. It was nuts, just how good he
That's
was
so
at that
funny.
trick. Yeah, shout out Jacob.
Yeah, dude.
I have a similar story with the taps. I remember Caden Weller landed the first 10 tap in 2017 at
Yeah.
Camp Kendama. And I remember talking to Sweets, and Sweets said, "Yeah, dude, it was insane. I can't wait till we see 20 tap." And I literally laughed in his face. I literally laughed in
Yeah.
his face, and I said, "Sweets, that's not gonna happen." I thought like instantly, "Wow, Matt, you're pretty dumb for thinking that." I mean, because I couldn't conceptualize. I literally couldn't
Yeah.
perceive the reality of more than 10 taps. 10 taps is already pushing the barriers of what I could even think is possible. But it's
Yeah.
so insane to think about how now the barriers have just been pushed so far.
It makes no, I mean, it makes sense, but it makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it's so crazy. Like, Kendama is reaching a level that I feel like people don't even understand the level of Kendama that it's like reaching until you go to Japan. Like,
Mhm.
once you go to Japan and you're seeing kids that are like their string length is almost as tall as they are, and they're landing 4, 6, 8 taps. Like you start to realize like Kendama is about to reach a level that is like for me, I think maybe unreachable because I've learned how all the tricks I know by doing them a specific way. But all the kids that are starting now, they're learning them in a different technique. Like
Yes.
tap, for example, taps. So when I do taps, I do them in my head. I've always counted them in twos. So like I'll if I do 4 tap,
Mm,
it's a pause. Whereas I think now kids are learning them just as taps. They don't think of them because when I started, like 2 tap was hard, 4 tap was insane.
yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, to learn 4 tap, I need to do 2 tap and then another 2 tap.
Yeah.
But these kids are like, okay, to get 10 tap, I need to do this. So they're just learning it differently. So like I feel like one day there will be a time where I won't be able to reach the tricks that are being landed because
Dude,
it's so crazy.
I think you touched on something huge there. I mean, yeah, we learned growing up in Kendama just the techniques that we learned because there was that was available. We were watching, we take inspiration from others. Now, the better players are, the better their technique and form is. And if you start off learning that, oh my gosh. I mean, I
Yeah,
it's huge. The swaps that Ryoga has, the whole control that he has, but also this how he
dude.
swaps the Tama. Him and Nonaka do the same thing. I think it's pristine. I think it's the highest level of a swap nowadays in juggling. Also with the taps, obviously Takia, his form, it's a lot different than a lot of other players, but it's not a lot different than other Japanese players. A lot of Japanese players who aren't as
Yeah,
good as him have the same form. It's just a matter of time.
dude. Yeah, and if you notice, like, dude, like the only players that beat me at NAKO were Japanese players, and I've started to notice like Japanese players are just different. Like every one of them, yeah, they you can tell they're learning the same way. Like I don't know. It's just I could go on for days about that because it's just crazy.
Yeah, I remember your first I remember you went to we were in Miyajima this past summer at KWC or the after KWC and you were always watching Ryoga
Yeah,
play and you're like your mind was being blown and as because I was
dude.
I just can't wait for that to happen that's why I'm so happy that Japanese players are getting out to these overseas events because I think that's a really good experience to have to see them play in person because it's so much different than social media. It's just a different experience.
Yeah, and it gives me a boost too. Like at
Hmm.
NAKO, I was watching Ryoga. Like we were in a circle, and we're all just we could name out any trick, and he would land it within a few tries, like any trick.
Yeah.
And it gave me this like boost of energy where I was like, okay, I need to do taps right now. So I like in a few tries landed 10 tap juggle bird, which for
Let's
me
go.
is that for me that's so hard to do. For him, that's like he has that like the same way I have four tap juggle bird.
Yeah.
But like I think watching him land those tricks is the reason I was able to land that. So it makes me wonder, yeah, if we're all seeing those players the way that those kids are in Japan, would we start to progress more? Like,
100%. I
yeah,
think
or yeah,
yes.
we would.
I
We
think yes.
definitely
Hmm.
would.
Yeah, dude, it's huge. I think though, it's just seeing the level, just getting the exposure level, just brings the energy up of any player and brings the level up of anybody. One thing
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you was, do you did you think you would you say you have a rival now, or did you have a rival in the past?
Right. Do you just mean like someone that like I've wanted to beat or someone that I can't beat?
So I guess well, maybe both, but I guess basically what I mean by that is somebody in the past that you really, really wanted to beat, or maybe someone that in the past that you both acknowledge each other as, okay, we're definitely huge competitors with each other.
Dude, honestly, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever thought like of a player and thought like I want to beat them.
Hmm.
I don't think that's ever something I've thought about. I mean, if I had to choose, it'd probably be like Taikuya, just because that's like the most challenging it probably gets, like him
Yeah.
and yoga.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never really had that.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Are you
What
gonna
about
com
you?
yeah, definitely not now because I'm definitely not competing right now, but in the past for sure. I mean, well, always biggest rival I've ever had is definitely Nick. But
Oh, or yeah, that's a dude.
other
Yeah,
than
that's
that, I
yeah.
mean, other than that, other players, I always we've played each other a lot. I always whenever I play you, I said, okay, I this is a huge match. I really want to beat Alex. I know that we're definitely I don't know. I know we're both the good competitors, so I really
Yeah,
want
dude,
to.
I feel the same way. Like going against you, Nick. There's like a handful of those players that I've liked that with. Like I'll go against, and I'm like, okay, this is a big match.
It's probably just dude, because and honestly, the players that I'm thinking I'm about to say are probably just players that you have in your head too around the same like in that same group because dude, I swear for many years and it's yeah, for many years it was just the same five players who were just taking turns winning and podiuming stuff.
It
Like
really was.
five,
Like,
seven players.
dude, yeah, every comp.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd say definitely actually yeah, you and Liam for sure, but also I don't know, rival. I guess my only true rival that I was like, okay, wow, I really want to is definitely like Nick. But maybe in the past, I definitely had some inspiration from Japanese kids that I thought I took. Maybe they were my rivals, but I thought it would be really cool to beat them, like Nobunori, and
Yeah,
yeah, most him and Soma Kanemoto, but he's way less known than Nobunori. But yeah, no, yeah, he's same kind of similar age. They
yeah,
were definitely better than me back then when the time period that I'm talking about. So, 100%. Yeah, and they're still
yeah.
really good players today.
Dude, like Yasu.
Oh
Dude,
my
like
God.
hold on, I have to tell this for
Yes.
anyone watching because some people need to hear this. Like I've told a few people. So I was in Japan and this was at Cup back in July. And I went into this, I was in someone's like hostel room. I think it was it was like the Soul team were split into two rooms. In one room we were like all practicing and just like chill, like playing Kendama, and in the other room people were chilling. Well, I was in the room we were playing Kendama in, and Yasu and Rui come in, and they're just like, dude, like as soon as they enter a room, you can just feel the like cool. They're like I don't know. They're so cool. But like they come in and I just sit on the couch and I'm just like, okay, I just want to watch them play. And I see. So do you remember Yasu's level 12 trick?
Yeah,
It's like three tab house. I don't even want to say it because it's so
it's
much.
so
But
long. Yeah, I know
a
it.
lot of people watching are gonna know Yasu's trick. Like it ends with the lighthouse trade thumb slinger down spike.
Yeah,
Watching them, Yasu first try lands that trick. And I didn't know he had it like that. Like I thought that was like a trick he landed and was like, I'm not gonna do this on stage. Well, then Rui like taps on his shoulder and is like, watch this. Rui landed it first try. Dude, I watched them land this back to back. And it's like that's a good example of what I mean by like Japanese players are different. Like I don't know. I feel like this was kind of off topic, but I just wanted to bring it up because it's so like those players are just nuts. Like that trick, I don't know how long it would take me to land that trick, but I watched both of them land it back to back first try.
that is no. I'm happy you said that because that just illustrates even more of what we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier about and what you were saying that they're just different. The level is just a different. It's literally a completely different thing. The level's different.
Yeah.
You know, people and I think people may get that now more than ever because they're hearing you talk about it and everybody knows you as the top, if not, I mean, one of, if not, obvious, definitely the top American pro. And if you're saying this about them, then I think there's no better person to illustrate this fact that there are levels to this game, and then the Japanese level is
Yeah.
different. And if you're saying that, I mean, hey, it means a lot. So, dude, Rui
Yeah.
is such a. I know Yasu has this stuff. I know Yasu. I'm watching Yasu from afar at KWC, and I see him hit 4 level 10s in a row, and I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
all right, dude. I know you're really good at freestyle, and I'm watching him hit that across the room, and I'm just like, he's gonna win KWC. He's gonna win
Bro, he could.
He
He could
could. He could.
if he would stop the like he does this performance thing every year where he makes sure every trick in his list is like all level 12s and 11s. But like if he like put thought in maybe he is putting thought into it, but I don't think he cares about it the way he does freestyle. I have
Right.
no idea. But I feel like if he did a thought out run similar to Ryoga's, he would win. But
Yeah,
I don't
I think
know.
so too. I think he has a way he would have a way better shot for sure.
Yeah. But I think he maybe I want to ask him, but maybe he just doesn't care enough about it. So he tries to use it as like this challenge and performance rather than like, okay, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Because, dude, he could easily get top three. Like, top three for him,
100%.
like, that
100%.
would be literally easy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I don't, yeah, it's
know.
insane. And I think part of me thinks totally part of me thinks, yeah, I think he's just doing a performance and I mean, this would be literally the craziest thing ever if he landed it. I think that's what he is going for. But also it's also worked for him in the past. I mean, he literally won KWC online doing that. So I honestly
That's
don't knock
true.
him that much for it because if it worked once for him, I mean, hey, if he did it, if he does it again, it'll work for him again. Because I mean, literally, if he hits the run, there's nobody who's gonna beat him. There's nobody.
Yeah,
So if it works, so if he
that
does
is
hit it,
true.
it's a guaranteed dub. It's not even going to be close, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he knows more than we do. So
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, maybe I'm in the wrong for that because like he
No.
had like, that run he landed was that type of run.
Yeah.
They're
I
just
mean, it's kind of like, I mean, you can kind of draw a connection with it's such a crazy thing, but I think if people would also say that it's such a crazy thing that you don't practice yet. It's something that works for you every time. And, you keep
yeah,
doing it.
true.
Oh, but it's a little different because it hasn't been working for Yasu recently. But I think
Yeah,
it's kind of, you can draw a similarity between those two things. Um, yeah. Before we get to as we wrap this up, Alex, I want to get to a couple questions from Instagram from the community that they want to ask you. So I'm
yeah.
gonna go through them one by one.
I
Yeah,
was curious. Yeah, I was curious what type of questions people would ask.
yeah. I've asked a couple of them throughout this interview just because they kind of flowed right in.
Yeah.
But one one is from Gino, and it's favorite Kendama
Uh,
trip you've taken outside the USA and why.
oh, definitely, definitely EKC. That would have been. Let's see. Dude, I'm so bad at like years, like keeping up with what Kendama like events were. Not this past EKC, but the year before. So that would be 2022.
Hmm.
The year I won, like it was me and Kelvin both won.
That's right.
Kelvin won Open Division. I won Freestyle, and like that was my first time anywhere in Europe. So like obviously first time in the Netherlands. That was like first EKC. It was just such a fun trip, and it like me and Kelvin are very competitive. Like we both want to win, and it was just like yeah, like seeing Kelvin win, and then he's like, dude, you gotta win now, and both of us podiuming, and yeah, that for me was like the best trip because of how like first time being there, first event, and then we both win.
That is actually that gave me those chills a little bit. That when you put it like that, that's actually so epic. When especially when
Yeah,
you said when Kelvin wins, he said, "All right, now you got to win," and you
dude, he
actually
did.
won.
He
So
really,
cool.
yeah, like he literally came up to me and he was like, dude, like you gotta win. Like we talked about it, and like then it happened. It was just it was such it was a different competition. Like that one felt different. It didn't just feel like any other win.
Dude, I mean, it was a crazy finals match too. I mean, that was an iconic finals match. You and Nick in the freestyle.
Yeah,
The fact
that
that you
was.
still beat him and he did a Quinn still flip, I think it
I
just is a
know.
testament to how well you did in that event, dude.
Yeah,
Insane.
that was a scary match. Like watching someone land five silt flip, and then you're like, okay, well, that's probably makes my chances of winning go down a lot.
But you still came back and snapped. And actually, on this topic, I want to ask a question of my own real quick. I see you do the same thing, this one same thing in freestyle in a lot of your rounds. You're really, really good at this. You'll repeat tricks, but you don't
Yeah,
repeat tricks in the sense of how other people repeat the same type of tricks throughout the rounds, but you'll literally do a trick that's really difficult back to back. So is that something you consciously think
yeah,
about? That's a
dude,
strategy of
yeah.
yours?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's something like in my head, I'm like, okay, if I land it once, just pin it and go for it again. Like if you just landed like a trick, you're warmed up on it. Like you have the feeling
Yeah.
for it. So
Dude,
like
yes, you're so right.
yeah, so like I guess you're probably referencing the like lean house,
Quad tap juggling
wait,
house and quad tap juggling house.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. So like that for that's what that was. I was like, I just really want to land that, but that time I didn't even think about it actually. In that run, I just wanted to land it once.
hmm
Like I had no plans of going for it again, but I landed it, and it just literally felt so right. So I just went for it again. But then recently, I've been noticing like NAKO, for example, there were certain tricks where I was like, okay, if I land it, I'm gonna spike it and then just go for it again.
Yeah.
So like that happened like a few times.
It's such a flex, and it happened yeah, definitely in a few times in these rounds, and I've seen you do it in other freestyles too. I'm pretty sure you did it on me too in Battle of the Board 2023, and you hit a really sick one in LVKO, so like this past year. So I mean, you do it all the time, and it's such a potent strategy, I think, because the trick you already do by itself, as you said, it's like it's already good, but you do it again because you already get the cheers on the first one. It's like yeah,
Yeah.
and then when people see you go for it again, they're like, what the fuck? Oh,
I think
oh
it's
my
a shock factor. Like,
yeah,
and that
100%.
helps judges. I feel like that makes the judges like I like something I think Ben Harold was saying, or maybe I just heard it on stage a lot, but players that take risk, I feel like are always going to have the better chance at winning because it's very clear when a player is doing tricks that they know they have. But
hmm
if you take a risk at like missing a long trick or missing anything by going for like a crazy trick, then like once if you land it, it's going to be that much crazier because there's certain tricks you can tell people just don't have on lock every try. But if you go like for example the one I landed 1 2 3 4 5 inward lunar flip in
Oh
the
my God.
freestyle at NAKO. So
Yes.
like that is one of those examples where I guess that's not a great example because I pinned it after 1 2 3 4 to like lock it in, but then I went for the five and like I could have missed that, and that would have been like time taken off of my run. That would have kind of like made the 1 2 3 4 feel less than. But like I went for it because I know if I get it, the outcome is well worth it. So like it's a big risk in that sense. So I think if people take more risk, then you'll have better chance of winning. But that's only if you land it. So it's like it's literally a risk. Like it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. No, I totally love that what you brought up right there because I think I've seen it time and time again in my past comp experiences as well, just spectating and seeing people's matches that you can flow all you want and do the stuff and be consistent, but with the kind of lower level tricks but once your opponent hits a crazy tech trick, it just brings it up a notch. And
Yeah.
totally agree with you in the sense that it's a massive factor in the decision, that risk factor that the judge can tell, oh, this person's actually I mean, they if they don't hit this, it's going to be a big point dock, or it's going to be a
Yeah.
huge lack of points. And honestly think, there's two. I can draw a correlation to your match against Kaido in the finals. Kaido was doing the same. I mean, his style was pretty similar throughout all of his rounds. What's really
Yeah.
impressive about him was that he didn't really miss ever in his rounds. But I wouldn't say he was exactly risking stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Cause like
Hmm.
I'm not putting his tricks down or anything, but like if I wanted to do a run like that, I know I not like his, but like I could do a version of my
In your
own
own
where I
style, yeah.
land all the tricks I know I can land every try. But to me, that is like I would rather have like an intention in my run, like be like, okay, my intention is to land unique tricks and like get the judges to you're good. Bless you. But
Just
no,
good.
so that would be my thing is like I want to have intention with my run. And if I'm just like flowing, trying to just get the most out of my run, I don't know. I don't like it's very easy to beat that, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Like I say that I lost against Kaito, but but like
But
I
do you
think
think if you hit your tricks though, you think because you
yeah,
actually didn't have because your tricks you weren't as consistent in that run as your other runs, but if you hit your tricks, you think you would have beat him?
I do, yeah, but
Yeah,
I just didn't have any tricks. Like I used all like everything I had, I used in previous rounds because, like I said, I was treating them like the finals.
right.
So once I got to the finals, I like whenever they were counting down and I was like holding the kendama to do my first trick, I had no trick in mind, like nothing. So like whenever the timer started, I was like I had to just wing it. But and I'm so used to having like a few tricks in mind and I want to do things that are gonna like stick with the judges. Whereas if you're flowing the whole time your round is going, they're not gonna have much to like take note of. Like they're gonna be able
Right.
to write like didn't miss or lots of flow. But if you land like a double lunar tray flip or some weird creative trick, they're gonna write that specific trick down.
Yeah.
And that's gonna I think that outweighs like very flowy, just like safe runs.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of what you're referring to, I think, is that the judge will see a flow line like that, and it kind of just blurs together. There's no standout mode. It kind of
Yeah,
just blurs. Like, okay, yep, did pretty good. Don't really remember, but did pretty good.
yeah,
Totally. And it's so interesting that what you said right there because it's literally the opposite. It's probably the opposite mentality that Kaido has with these players that kind of just go for like flow with tricks they know they can for sure hit. As you said, yeah, it's just I didn't have any tricks. I just did. I mean, I did all I could in
dude.
previous
Yeah,
rounds, so I didn't know what to do. Kaido's like, yeah, I do everything. Kaido's like, yeah, I did triple lunar flips in my last round, and I'm about to hit him again and again and again in this
yeah.
next round. It's
Dude,
totally different mentalities.
you're so right. Yeah, and that's when like a player like that can beat that method. Is like
Mhm.
for me, yeah, I ran out of stuff because I had used it all. So for him, that's a big advantage. So like
Yeah.
that's something I could like progress on is maybe if I run out of tricks, think of lines to just pull out. Like because I could have like a few lines like his where it's not something I have to think about. It's like, okay, let me just do this so that I'm landing something.
Hmm. A couple things to default to.
Yeah, I definitely need that.
Mm. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just so interesting. Two different styles of freestyle go against each other, and yeah, he won this time, but I could totally see you winning against him too. So, I mean, hopefully you guys play again in the future sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your favorite trick you've ever hit?
Oh, dang. Dude, this is such a hard question. Like,
Yeah, I bet.
because like I don't know. I feel like everyone like you get asked this, but it's like, dude, I've landed so many tricks. Um, Probably like the first triple border balance flip that I ever landed, honestly. Like
Okay.
so like not anything like it's not my favorite for it being the craziest trick ever, but that trick for me just felt so crazy. Like landing a triple border balance flip like at that time was just unheard of. Like not there's like a few people that could do that. So like
Yeah.
probably that, but yeah, I wish I had a more like a better answer, like some trick that I've landed recently, but nothing comes to mind. Like for me to answer that, I would have to scroll through my page and like really think about it.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. Something that's monumental to you and your experience, your first world board balance slip. I mean, I knew you for borders back then. I knew you, so yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
when you landed that, it was definitely one of the only people in the world hitting that. So, was that on that pink Dama you had? The pink one?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's so funny. Dude, people still reference that Tama to this day. Like,
I mean, you
so I
landed
still
so many
have
tricks
it.
on that.
I still have it. I need to pull it out.
Yeah. What is your, and this is just a quick one, but I think some people who would really appreciate this who focus on weight. What's your ideal setup weight?
Oh, uh, definitely. So I like my Kens to be heavier than my Tamas.
Hmm.
So I do like if I could like have the perfect weights, it would be 70, probably 75 Ken, 74 Tama.
Okay.
That for me would be like perfect.
So you like them heavier, but not that much, just like a gram or two?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like most of my setups end up being like 74 to 75 Tama and then like 76 to 77 Ken.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay,
just like,
cool.
yeah, I love those.
Well, for anybody who wants to try out Alex Mitchell style or copy him, then those are the weights to do it. That's where you're
Yeah,
gonna go to
try it,
get your
try
Alex
it.
Mitchell setup. What's your do you have any specific inspirations behind your creativity in tech trick construction? I mean, where do you even come up with that stuff? How did you come up with some of the tricks for branching out?
Um, for that, I think, yeah, I have like two different answers because like right now, I don't really have an inspiration. Like I'm not even really watching people's tricks. Like sometimes I do. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be scrolling and I see some tricks, but so right now, like probably no one. But when I was like making videos like that, I think obviously like Fringe Case, like Ben Harold's tricks. Another big one is Kelvin's tricks. Kelvin
Mm,
Wong, his tricks, like I'll always love his tricks because they're so tech and it's literally just my exact style. Um, I'm trying. I know there's like multiple other players. There's like a few other ones, but I can't really think of. That's like the two bigger ones. And then other than that, it's literally just thinking of like what tricks would no player think of. That's like a lot of times what I try to think of is like I know some people could probably land this, but I don't think anyone would think about this unless I film it. That's like the type of tricks I like to film.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Like for example, perfect example of this is the my most recent trick. It was if you've seen it, it's like one turn house, insta flip,
Yeah,
goes in.
banger.
Yeah, so that trick, Yasu, someone showed me a
Dude.
video.
Yeah, I
Did
saw
you see
that.
this?
I saw that.
Dude, he landed my trick in like five, or I think it was like 2 or 5 minutes. Like after, like I don't know, it's crazy that that trick didn't take me that long, but to me, it's one of those tricks that if you don't actively work on and practice, then you won't have it down or like try to learn it. But I like doing tricks like that because he probably wouldn't have wanted to land that or do anything with that if he didn't see me do it. Not that
Totally.
he can't do it because he easily could, but I like to be the one to think of the concepts. And like I was even seeing him, he would be like freestyling just off to the side, and he would throw one of those in at random moments. So it was like cool to see. Like, I guess that's the goal with those tricks is like give people a different concept than that they're not used to.
Yeah, inspire others and push them, even if they're like just to push them to find their kind of like latent capabilities that they aren't even realizing for themselves. Yeah, just inspire others to push themselves in a way they haven't thought before. So that is
Yeah,
really, really cool.
that's what
Yeah,
interests me the most. Like that's what makes me want to film because I don't want to do tricks that everyone does. Like there's no problem with that, but it doesn't excite me. Like I want to do
right.
weird tricks that no one thinks of.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, seeing
Yeah.
Yossi do that trick was just ridiculous.
I know.
What I have two more questions for you. What is one thing you want to see happen for Kendama in from 2 to 5 years from now?
Oh, that's a good question. Huh. I think one thing that I think is, I mean, already happened from NAKO is like bigger prizes for comps, like cash prizes,
Hmm.
just as more of an incentive for players like me who are like, I'm like trying to run my own business.
Hmm.
And I feel like winning that amount of money kind of, not that it's all about money. I don't want to sound greedy or sound like I need money to go to a competition. But if there's like bigger cash prizes, it makes everything more intense. Like
For
every
sure.
player there is going to be playing differently. And it might make me want to go to like there might be a competition I wouldn't want to go to, but then I see that like the cash prize is so big, and might make me realize, oh, this is like a way bigger competition than I realized, or like it's going to be a fun one because there's going to be so much competition there. So like maybe like competitions, I feel like there needs to be a change in some way in competition because the comps have been the same forever pretty much. So maybe
Hmm.
something like that, and then I'm trying to think of one more because like I know a lot of people push for like Kendama to one day be in the Olympics, but that's not something I really like think about at all.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what another one would be. Just like maybe just comps in general, not even just money based, but maybe there's something more with competition.
Yeah.
Or
Like
maybe
spicing it
something with
up.
yeah, spicing it up, or maybe something with like, and I know a lot of people are working on this, but maybe something with using statistics for certain kendama events, or like using that for a competition of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So first off, bigger incentive for pros to compete. Dude, I don't think that's a weird I would never call you greedy for wanting more incentive like that to do it because honestly, dude, at the end of the day, there's not yeah, without the monetary incentive, it's I mean, people have bills to pay, people have, money
Yeah,
that they want to make, and as people get older, you don't see a lot of players past 20 22, past 22, this A21 in Kendama going insane hard, going insanely hard and practicing the same pros. I mean, a lot of the pros have less of a I mean, if you look at a sport like tennis, for example, some of those or NBAs, like some of those careers are like 20 years or coming on like almost 20 years after they get to the pro level. Not even like not before they like after they get there.
dude.
And
Yeah,
it's because and I mean they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't making money from it. Like, it's a
yeah,
huge
it's
incentive because
true.
that reality is, I mean, we all have to make money somehow. So I think that's a huge thing too. And I think then what Nouns and Sweets did this year was a huge step in that right direction. And I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you on that. I mean, I say I don't want to compete right now, but if I there's like a huge cash prize on the line, which there was this time, which there was, but if there
Yeah,
was a huge cash prize on the line, if every comp was like the World Cup prize or more, I'd be like, all right, well,
dude. Yeah,
now I mean,
like
now I'm gonna put in work like I've never put in work before, So it's a huge,
yeah.
it always boosts it. Like you said, it just boosts everything.
Yeah, and like you said, with people are busy. Like people
Yeah.
get super busy. They have their own lives. So it has to be worth it for them to want to keep going and like
Hmm.
trying really hard. So yeah, like if every comp, not every comp, but if like most comps got to the point where it was like normal for there to be like 5,000, $10,000 prizes,
Yeah.
like you put that into perspective, like think, so I've been to, I don't even know how many competitions this year, probably like four. I won. I won like the. I've won every event I've been to this year except for like NAKO and Cup. So like if you
Mm.
put that into perspective, let's say there's three comps you want to go to, and like each of those is like $5,000 if you win. If you win that, that is $15,000, which is like I don't know what the average salary is, but it's like I don't know. That could be like half of someone's salary or more.
Yeah.
So it's like as a Kendama pro, if there was like that big of an incentive, you could look at that as okay, I have my job and then I have this that pays for a massive portion of like everything for me for the year.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. When
A
you put
huge, I
it
mean,
that
it's
way,
massive. Yeah, as you said, I mean, people are busy, and the priorities. People get older, they start to shift, and there's a reason why the best players in the world are always teenagers in kendama.
Dude,
And I think that it makes there's not
yeah,
way less
literally.
incentive for people who come into adulthood to keep playing at that level of frequency and intensity. And it just makes the priorities for I'd say the majority of the people in that age, it makes less sense to grind that hard. So, just objectively speaking, with money involved, but of course, if money were to get more involved, hopefully nouns can get involved in more comps. Who knows if that'll happen? I'd
Dude,
love to
yeah,
see it. It'd be great.
I would too.
Yeah, so I'm
That
with you
would
on
be
that.
great. Dude, hopefully battle with the border, like that would be
Oh,
crazy if they like reached out for that.
yeah. Ah, that'd be epic. Are you gonna compete at Battle of the Border?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm only like a 2 hour drive from that, so I'm like I can't miss that one. And
Yeah,
that's
and
like
if you go to a comp, you're gonna compete.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I had this conversation with Nick where I know you guys like I'm sure it's not forever that you're not competing, but I thought about it and I was like, I feel like I'm not done competing. Like if I'm still able to get podium,
Yeah.
then there's no reason for me personally to not continue competing. So I don't know at what point I'll like be done with it
Hmm.
because I know there might be a time one day where yeah, I want to go to an event and not compete and just hang out and have fun and
Hmm.
watch the best players compete.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude, I totally understand where you're coming from. Dude, if you can compete and not practice and still do super, super well, bro, dude, I totally understand. I mean, you're still killing it. You're still killing
Yeah,
it.
thank
So
you.
it's always awesome to see you compete. And yeah, it always amazes me how well you do. Just because I know,
Thank you.
despite how much the frequency you play now is not as much as you used to, but it's really amazing how you've been able to maintain this level for not just one, not just two, not just three, but quite literally 7 years now. So it's incredible,
Yeah,
dude. So I want to see you
I
keep going,
appreciate
man.
it.
I want to see you keep going. The last question I have for you is, what's next for you in in Kendama and in life? This is an Instagram question too, but I mean I thought it was a perfect one to end on for myself as well.
Yeah, it's a
Where
good
where is life taking you at the moment? You mentioned a Depop. Where are your goals right now that you're heading towards?
dude. I honestly really need to be more goal oriented because a lot of my life has always been just like go with the flow and figure it
Mhm.
out as I go. And like I know that's not the most smart mindset, but I feel like that's made me like the happiest not having like all these like big things I need to do. But for the future, I mean, like really like Depop, like
Yeah.
reselling clothing, like that is what I'm most passionate about right now. And I'm doing that full time already, but I just want to honestly just keep growing that. Like I just want to
Yeah.
expand that. I want to like I want to get to the point where I'm gonna file for like an LLC soon. So like I want to make it
Nice.
like legit. So but I don't even but when I say that, I don't even know what that looks like. Like what in the next 5 years, what is this gonna be? Is it gonna be just exactly what I'm doing, but more work and scaled up? So I need to think about that more, like goals and
Mhm.
stuff, because I just know I want to continue doing this. And as far as Kendama goes, I have no idea either. Like I'm gonna keep going to events, maybe slow down on that, like international events, but
Yep.
I would like to maybe a goal of mine is like start filming a little more. Cause like now that I'm playing Kendama when I want to, it would be fun to go out, like go to the tennis court, film like a POV trick
Right.
of some sort. So that's probably
Yeah.
my goal. Just continue with this, with the clothing, scale up with that, and then like film a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, Kendama, you're always going to be in Kendama. You love Kendama, but the main focus, when you put your efforts towards Depop, and you're trying to see that grow, until
Yeah.
I don't know, you don't even have a cap on it. You're like, all right, let's just grow, let's keep growing it. So cool, man.
Yeah, I don't even know.
That's
I don't know what that looks like, but I know that yeah, if I've been able to do what I've done with Kendama, then I know I could do like very similar things with other avenues of my life, like with this business. It's like I'm not even a year in and I'm already doing it full time. So it's like,
yeah,
what am I going to be doing in the next year, 2 years?
yeah.
So we'll see. I need to be more oriented because I think you and Nick are very good about that,
Hmm.
like setting goals.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say, I mean, hey man, if you keep up the work, we'll have two things to say. One, I think if you keep up the work, you're definitely gonna need a bigger room because that entire room plus more is gonna be all closed. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I'm saying? So
yeah.
that
I'm already
hundred, I think
working
that's
on
one.
that.
Yeah, yeah, that's one. And two, dude, I want to echo that what you said because you, I think Kendama. I actually spoke with the beginner champion, the girls beginner champion this morning of NAKO, and we had a good
Oh, that's
conversation.
cool.
Yeah, and she said one of her favorite things was just kind of showing people Kendama and showing them and having them get that first bike and kind of bringing that feeling to that yeah, feeling an acknowledgement and to light in them where they can say like, "Oh, I can do this. I can
Yeah,
actually do this. This is possible for me. I can do this." And from going from I can't to I can. And I think Kendama, especially for it's such a great tool. It's a great skill to progressing because it's a great tangible tool to give yourself self-proof that you can progress and you can become good at something because it's so hands-on, it's so accessible. And for
yeah,
especially players who have reached the top level, who have reached, not just pro level, but like the elite level, like you have so much proof that you can actually no matter what it is, you can become really good at it if you put your time in. Just how you did Kendama,
yeah,
just how you did for these comps, you get into that stage time. I think it's such a great tool. And honestly, dude, I've met a lot of people in my life, and I almost forget how rare that is because a lot of people don't have that belief. But you have all this proof, set this almost 11 years of proof that you can get insanely good at something. Not just, just like pretty good compared to, the people around your local area, but literally really good comparatively to the rest of the entire world. So, yeah, man, I want to let you know that Nick and I are always here to support you, and I definitely am cheering you on, not only in Kanama, but with all of your endeavors in the future, dude. Because I know for a fact that you can succeed because of you've already succeeded in a huge in a realm, and I know you can just
yeah.
take that on to another.
Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I support you guys too. Like I know you guys are doing big things with Kendama and business in general, but I agree. Like I think seeing what we've done with Kendama has given us this perspective that we would have never had, and like I like that you interviewed the beginner of the like the winner of beginner because I
Yeah.
feel like no one would talk to them and hear their mindset.
Hmm.
But like we need to hear people's mindsets for that because like I feel like a lot of people don't know what pros think or like know our own mindsets. Like
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was cool. Hmm.
No, you go ahead.
It was, yeah, no, I was gonna say it was cool to get that perspective because it's more relatable. I mean, if the other beginners are gonna be interested in hearing what other beginners are doing, and because they're achieving a little higher, and like, oh, well, this one's more relatable. But some beginners who listen to only pro interviews, they're like, oh, that's cool, but man, I just started, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know how to relate to that. Um,
But yeah,
but
I'll definitely I want to talk to you guys more about how you manage your goals and like how you I don't know, like you set a goal and go for it because I feel like I'm all over the place. Like with I guess because with Kendama, I've never had like a set goal. I just did it. So like
mhm.
I don't know how to change that to where I have a goal and go for it rather than just going with it, going with the
Yeah,
flow.
I totally get that. And I mean, honestly, I mean, you have that. It's not exactly like there's no right or wrong here. It's not exactly a bad thing that you aren't focused on goals because I mean you just said you didn't really do that with Kendama and look how far you've taken it, so
Yeah, true.
it's not exactly there's no right or wrong with this, but 100%. I mean, if you it's I think it's always healthy to switch to think in different frameworks and see how far you can push yourself because I mean in terms of thinking what's possible because I think if you focus more on goals, something tells me that you would be thinking of things that you never thought before. So I look
Yeah.
forward to discussing that more with you in the future, in the very near future.
Dude, same, same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys' support too. Like it helps, it means a lot. Like, cause it's, that's something I've learned from Kendama. Like, if you're into Kendama, people will just support you with anything.
Hmm.
And like, you literally, like you said, like, we've had the opportunity to meet so many people and have these perspectives that we would have never had without Kendama. And like, I
Yeah.
want to change our lives. Like, I don't want to take that for granted. Like, I want to take everything I've learned, put it towards something because like it's a very rare and special perspective. Like you can't even really teach perspective. Like you have to experience it, and then
100%. Yeah. Experience to learn. And that's the biggest learnings, right? You just do something and learn along the way. Well,
definitely,
Alex, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, dude. It means a lot. I
yeah,
mean, we obviously, we came into this thing in an hour and a half, but it's been almost 2 hours now. Dude, that was an
Dang,
amazing conversation. I know a lot of people are really going to appreciate this. So thanks so much for
yeah,
setting aside the time. It's been epic.
of course. Thank you. It was actually fun. It was fun to talk about everything and hear your mindset on things. And I'm glad people like submitted questions. And I hope people watch this and take something away from it. That'd
I
be
definitely
cool.
think they will. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Alex. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, man. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk really soon.
You too, dude. Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.